Yeah. When we pull up in your city, it's about to be a party. It's about to be a party. It's about to be a party. When we pull up in your city, it's about to go down. We about to go wild, about to rock the whole town, about to bring them all out. Call it people gone wild. Now they looking at your boy like, what the hell he talking about? About to bring them all out. Call it people gone wild. Now they looking at your boy like, what the hell he talking about? Hey, sophisticated gentlemen, intelligent and tolerant. I'm bothering your politics and breaking down the college tricks. We out of school, so classes out. Fuck all your pedigree, fuck all your clout. Lift everybody and bring them all out. This is the message we preaching about. This is rising tides and we gon' keep it rising. This is our horizon as we're modernizing. Fuck your harmonizing and apologetics. Fuck your bishops and your fed clerics. Stop the cursing, it's hereditary. When you're out here reversing the seminaries and we're pulling our future from cemeteries. Out here clowning around like this shit that is scary. Fuck all the bullshit, it's sedentary. Everything else is just secondary. Hating that shit is not necessary. It's too predatory, too reactionary. No imagination is an adversary. No congratulations, get you past the Perry. This is how you stand up, this is how you carry. This is how you lay it in, it's how you bury. When we pull up in your city, it's about to be a party. It's about to be a party. It's about to be a party. When we pull up in your city, it's about to go down. We about to go wild, about to rock the whole town, about to bring them all out. Call it people gone wild. Now they looking at your boy like, what the hell he talking about? About to bring them all out. Call it people gone wild. Now they looking at your boy like, what the hell he talking about? Yeah. When we pull up in your city, it's about to be a party. It's about to be a party. It's about to be a party.
Happy Friday, everybody. Ooh, let me mute this. I hope y'all are doing well today. Listen, I know I don't normally go live on Fridays, but this was a conversation that I've been itching to have for a while, so I figured I'd pop in. I don't know how y'all are going to take this, but we're going to see. We're going to see today. So thank you for joining me today. Let me go ahead and get my comments pulled up over here so I can see y'all as y'all are coming in. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about ideological fetishism and the fantasy of solving humanity. That just sounds too deep, doesn't it? But I think this is a very, very, very important conversation. And so, let me just kind of give a little bit of a backstory here. Like at least 2 to 3 times a week, somebody is emailing me their solution to humanity's problems. They're emailing me and they're saying, listen, I have the solution for humanity. This is what we need to do. Everybody should just do this. And I mean, at least 2 to 3 times a week, I'm getting some type of message like this, either in my DMs, either in LinkedIn, or either in my email. And a lot of times, like, it's like paragraphs and paragraphs and paragraphs and pages and pages and pages. And so I felt like this happens enough to where it might be worth the conversation. And of course, as y'all are coming in, please let us know where you're watching from. Dark Light is in the building. So I felt like it was worth the conversation. And I want to give a little bit of an example without putting anybody on blast, but to just kind of let you know what I'm talking about. And I'm having this conversation, number one, because this is a pet peeve of mine. It is a pet peeve of mine when someone sends me their 10 points to save the world type of thing. And I'm going to kind of talk through why. But I'm going to give you an example. And again, my goal is not to shame people who do this. My goal is honestly to help people. And you'll see what I mean. But so one of them I think this is one of the ones that came through LinkedIn, and I'm just going to read a little bit of it. It's just like, I've been turning something over in my mind, and I wanted to get your take on it, knowing where you stand philosophically. And and I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's quite long, but there's a popular argument in rationalist circles that religion is the root of humanity's wars, tribalism, and intellectual stagnation, and that science is the corrective. I used to find that framing compelling on the surface, but the more I sit with it, the more it looks like a sleight of hand. I'm like, okay. And it says, consider the 2 deadliest ideological movements of the 20th century, Stalinism and Maoism, were explicitly secular, even anti-religious. Now, I didn't even address that in my initial response. I'm like, how did you wind up with those are the 2 deadliest? Like that's where my mind goes immediately. because I'm like, ooh, I don't think we're aware of how much we operate out of our biases. And so, like, even Wednesday, I did a live with Derek. I had Derek on the channel, Derek Lambert from Myth Vision, and someone asked a question about religion. And the thing that I highlighted is that a lot of times when people are talking about religion, they're not talking about religion as it is exhaustively defined. They're talking about religion as it has been personally experienced. And so many times, even when we say something like, religion is dangerous, what we're typically thinking about when we're talking about religion is Western religion. And it's like, okay, yeah, I absolutely agree with you. Western religions are dangerous. I can't take the leap with you on the other religions because I don't know enough about them. You see, that's how you check your biases. Intelligence is not knowing what you know. Intelligence is knowing the limits of what you don't know. Oh, that's good. That's good. Okay. But anyway, so, and he goes on with more stuff like this. He says, here's the point I keep landing on. Both religion and science are amplifiers. They scale up whatever the human being operating them brings to the table: wisdom or cruelty, humility or the will to dominate. So when someone says ditch religion, embrace science as a civilizational fix, I think they're doing something psychologically convenient, locating the problem in one group's belief system rather than in the species. It's blame projection at scale. And that part I do kind of agree with. Like, a lot of things we do, we blame the tool and not the users of the tools. Um, all right. So, and the person said, I genuinely like to hear where you land on this. And so I did. And I'm going to read my response in full because it's mine. Right. So I responded by saying, my take would be that the premise is faulty to begin with. The idea that science is a replacement for religion is an apologetics argument, not one that exists in any halls of academia or society. Science is not positioned as a replacement for religion. That is a category error. Okay. Um, Religion is an organized belief system. Science is a methodology. A better comparison would be prayer versus science, or prophecy versus science, or even revelation versus science. To try to compare religion and science is arguing from the fallacious straw man of apologetics, not serious inquiry. And perhaps most importantly, science is not presented as a solution to humanity's problems. The things that we can do with science may help us move forward. But I think the whole idea that one thing is humanity's solution is an oversimplification that has its roots in superstition. Humans don't have to commit harm for harm to exist. Believing anything other than is simply human exceptionalism in the negative. Humans cause harm because harm exists as a product of complexity. There is no root cause to humanity's problems, just as there is no root cause to ants' vicious murder cycles. And yes, ants have vicious murder cycles, if you did not know. Um, we don't live in a fixed ecosystem governed by a magistrate. We live in a complex reality with less than 5% access to the world around us. I think thinking that one thing is a root cause is simply the aftermath of believing in a fall, which reality doesn't support. And, like, honestly, I don't often engage these type of conversations, but for this person, I did want to kind of give them a little benefit of the doubt. And so we did jump in this conversation for a while and went back and forth. And that's when I said, all right, I'm going to have to talk about this a little bit. So what I call this is ideological fetishism, and it's also often combined with ideological spamming. You get a great idea, a big idea, an idea that you're absolutely in love with, and your next step is to immediately start telling everybody about it and start sending it to people. And that at that moment, you're just spamming your idea. And I want to help people understand why that's not necessarily the best way to go about it. Okay. Um, so one of the strangest habits of the internet is that people develop a private ideological framework. They barely test it against reality and then present it to strangers as if they've discovered the cure for humanity. And if you want to know what my big pet peeve is, it's that you come up with an idea, but you don't test it, right? You're not testing the idea, you're just sharing the idea. Um, Earlier when we first started doing Sunday sessions on the channel, when we first started doing Sunday sessions, there would be people who would jump in and say, we need to do this, we need to do this, we need to do this. And I'm just like, great. My question is always, where are you testing that at? Where are you experimenting with that at? And if you're not testing it somewhere, if you're not experimenting with it somewhere, happy payday Friday. I know that's right. If you're not experimenting with it somewhere, where are you getting your certainty that this is what works? Where are you getting your certainty that other people should be doing this, right? And then, so the few times that I do engage these conversations, almost every time, within a few sentences, the same red flags kind of show up. And I want to kind of walk through a little bit of these. Number one, the idea is just like way too big, or the evidence is too thin. The categories are sloppy, as with this one. Like the moment someone comes to me and it's just like, everybody thinks science is the answer instead of religion, but what if it's something else? And I'm like, who told you science was the answer? Science is not the answer. Science is the way we get answers. It's a methodology. Um, the confidence is inflated, and what they really want from you is not rigorous engagement. And I want y'all to sit with this one right here, okay? Um, they're not wanting rigorous engagement. They want affirmation. Okay, they basically want you to say, "Ooh, I think your idea is a good idea." They want you to affirm the idea. But I'm like, no, I think that's the slippery slope of going back, and like that's still kind of like operating off of revelation, off of intuition. Religion teacher. Oh man. I love that. Yeah. But that's the idea is that they just want affirmation. And I'm like, they want validation. And I'm like, when it comes to an idea, you don't get your ideas validated by other people. You get your ideas validated by testing them, by experimenting them. And so I kind of want to talk about this pattern because I think one of the most overlooked problems in public discourse is ideological spamming. Undertested ideas presented with universal ambition by people who have confused personal revelation with serious social research. And my background is sociology. So when you come to me about an idea like, oh, I think this is going to help people, no, that's automatically going to get my interest. But then I'm going to want to look at it and see, okay, like how have you tested this idea? How have you validated this idea? And that's what we're going to walk through. I want us to move from thought to theory to testing, to testing to trust. So listen, the big through line here. Man, we love y'all. I'm so glad to see y'all in the chat today. Y'all hear how under the weather I sound? I'm sorry. I hate to sound like this. But so here's a few key points. A thought is not a theory. We all have thoughts. I have a whole bunch of thoughts, okay? A thought is not a theory. A theory is not a framework. A framework is not a model. A model is not a solution. And nothing should be offered to humanity before it has been tested with actual humans. So, like, that's why we do the work that we do with Bridge City is to test our ideas. You know, I think, watch this. I think what we should be doing is building communities, right? And I think those communities should be, reflective of the people who are part of them. Now, I could be absolutely wrong. But do you know the way that I find that out? The way that I find out if I'm wrong about whether or not community is going to be a healthy vehicle or a helpful vehicle for us is by testing the idea and validating the idea in real time. And that's literally what I've been doing for the past 2 years. Yes. Oh, I'm so glad. See, I'm glad. I was nervous about doing this and I was like, ain't nobody gonna show up to this. They ain't, they ain't gonna want to see this. But so I'm so glad that this is already resonating with people. Okay. So when somebody thinks they found the one underlying explanation for humanity, the one cure, the one missing key, the one pattern beneath everything, that's usually not a sign of depth. It's a sign that complexity has been collapsed into ideology. Okay. The deeper conversation is about ideological spamming as an epistemic behavior, which means people showing up with undertested, totalizing frameworks, demanding validation, ignoring category errors, and mistaking personal revelation for serious social inquiry. Just because you thought it don't mean it's true. And again, intelligence is not knowing what you know. It's knowing what you don't know. It's like, I can I can think that, but do I have enough information to actually be able to come to that conclusion? Or am I having to make a leap, or did information lead me there? And did information lead me there? So there is a difference between having an interesting thought and having a serious framework. There's a difference between having a tested social model and or having something robust enough to recommend to humanity. And a lot of people skip all of that, and ultimately that's the problem. So Durante, what is ideological spamming? Okay, it is unsolicited ideological pitches. Let's start right there. Unsolicited. You know what unsolicited means? Y'all know what it means? Unsolicited. That means nobody asked for it. You know what I'm saying? It's unsolicited ideological pitches that are overconfident, undertested, universal in ambition, weak in method, eager for validation. When one person starts speaking for everybody, I'm always a little nervous. And that's what I mean, universal and ambition. When somebody says, what we all need to do is just do this. Whoa. You really think, like, do you, number one, do you think it's that easy that we can just tell everybody, here's the best plan and they'd follow it? And I want us to be very careful because this keeps happening online because we live in a space where the internet rewards confidence. Abstraction feels intelligent, system language sounds profound. People easily confuse coherence with truth, which means that's a good one. So you have a thought, you identify the coherence in that thought, and now you say, "Oh, because this is coherent, this is now true." Well, see, that's no different than confusing resonance with revelation. You know what I'm saying? And so, and then of course, and this is the biggest one, and this is the one I want us all to be mindful of. I have visions of grandeur just like anybody else. Loneliness can produce savior fantasies. Can I say that again? My eyes floating the fuck off all day today. I don't know what's going on. Loneliness, loneliness can produce savior fantasies. And so, if you're living with a lot of isolation in your life, um, a lot of times you begin to feel like you have the one answer that'll make it all right. So you no longer have to be lonely, and if everybody just do what you want them to do, then the world will be a better place. I hope somebody's already catching that slippery slope, right? Okay, so let's talk about the red flags in this, because these are just red flags that I've seen and all of the ones I've gotten. And for those of you that are just coming in today, we're talking about ideological fetishes, ideological fetishism, and the fantasy of solving humanity. And I'm talking about this because it's actually a pet peeve for me. Because at least 2 to 3 times a week, I get these long diatribe messages from people who are like, "Hey, Darante, I figured it out. Here's what we need to do." And it's like a damn doctoral thesis on what humans have gotten wrong. All right. And so I want to hit my red flags on this. And I hope y'all don't hate me by the end of it. And I hope this helps somebody. I highlight this stuff because it's been me. What's up, Shell? I highlight this stuff because I've been guilty of it as well. All right. So my first red flag with anybody who approaches me, like before I even read it, the moment someone says, "I have solved humanity," the first word that comes to my mind is arrogant. Okay. You got your crown on proud. You know what I'm saying? And so this is it. The first red flag is scale inflation. It's arrogant for me. It's arrogance for me. You had a thought about society and suddenly it became cure for humanity. That jump is not wisdom, it's ego. Okay? Like, again, intelligence is not just knowing what you know, it's knowing what you don't know. And nobody has enough range, access, or insight to solve humanity alone. You're going to have a hard time convincing me that you sat in a closet by yourself and talking to no other human being in the planet. You know what I'm saying? Right. You got the whole world in his head. You talk to nobody else, and you sat in a closet by yourself and came up with the solutions for all of humanity. That kind of framing often carries that savior complex. You know, it's like, oh, no, no. Number one, like it is arrogance, but that's a lot of pressure for you. No one person should have all that pressure. You sitting there trying to solve everybody's problem. Damn, I keep forgetting to bring this book over here with me, and I always mention it. But I just got finished reading this book called Community. by Eric Block. I hope I'm saying his name. Peter Block. There it is. Peter Block. Just got finished reading this book called Community, The Structure of Belonging by Peter Block. Excellent read for anybody who's actually interested in building community. Excellent read. But one of the things he mentions, which I actually thought was a really solid point, he says one of the problems with policing in this country is that police think that the responsibility to make a neighborhood safe is on them. And it's like, and that leads to false power imbalances. And I was like, ooh, that's good. And then instead of partnering with the citizens and the residents, because in Peter's worldview, Peter says the responsibility of making your neighborhood safe is the citizens' responsibility, and that ultimately people should become police because of citizenship, not because of authority, and not because of extra responsibility. That's good, right? And so that's what I think about when I think of framings like this, is that, oh snap, like when you think that it's your job to solve it all by yourself, you've already isolated all of humanity. And that's going to lead us to another red flag in these type of diatribes in a few. But we're going to continue. So the first one is that it's kind of arrogant to literally think that you can go in your closet and solve humanity after humanity has been working together collectively and not so collectively for like nearly 200,000 years. And we just been waiting for you to get 15 minutes in your closet to have a good idea. Oh, that's all we needed. We just needed Bobby to go in there, drink some milk, have a little coffee, maybe have some grits, play with himself a little bit, and then he was going to solve it all for the rest of us. Thankfully, Bobby is here to save the day. No, that's to me that's fantasy. That's fantasy. Now I could be wrong, but this is my pet peeve, and people are often wrong about their pet peeves. All right, the next one is that it's exclusive, and this kind of this is my next red flag. This kind of goes into the same category of arrogance, right? It's exclusive. A serious idea, and hear me well here. A serious idea is usually shaped with other people, is shaped with other disciplines, and is shaped with other constraints. Spamming shows the opposite. Okay. If you're spamming this idea, you're just emailing people over and over again. Like some people are so bad with it, they'll do it in my comments. And so like I'll see it and I'm like, really? So I'll have like, I find somebody who posted like the same 10 paragraphs under 20 different videos. And honestly, what that reads to me is like you really don't have any confidence in your idea. And that's why you're trying to get other people to validate it, because you can't validate it through experimentation. And that's not a flex. So like it becomes exclusive because you're not working on it with other people. That becomes isolated certainty rather than collaborative inquiry. All right. The more humanity is in your pitch, and hear me well, the more humanity is in your pitch, the more people should be in your process. You know? So, like, even now with the work that we do with Bridge City, when people join our team and they're like, okay, what should I be doing? Or what do you want us to do? Or how do you want this to work? I'm always very clear that, oh, I don't get to pick that. I don't get to pick what this looks like. Y'all ain't ready for me today. No, I don't get to pick the outcomes. We're building it together. It changes every time somebody else joins. The possibilities evolve every time somebody else becomes a part of it. What we're able to do changes every time somebody else becomes a part of it. What we're aware of changes every time someone becomes a part of it. What we think causes harm changes every time someone becomes a part of it. So anytime I see people kind of having all of their answers in advance, I'm like, oh, exclusive much. You know what I'm saying? That's it. Yes. Come on, man. I love it. I love it. All right. The next red flag. So we got arrogance, we have exclusivity. The next one to me is simplicity. Okay. It's just, in every one of these I've received, the person has oversimplified complex matters, demonstrating a significant misunderstanding of the facts or a bias that checks that, you know? It's like the examples repeatedly reduce complex realities into one root cause, one disease, one cure, one behavior underneath it all. And that's an oversimplification. So like y'all have heard me say, like I've said consistently, even if even if religion disappeared overnight, narcissism wouldn't. Even if religion disappeared overnight, racism wouldn't, you know? Like I used to constantly tell people, we are not superstitious because we're religious, or because of our religions. Our religions are superstitious because we are. We're like, we don't realize, like, we don't just have superstitions about religion, we're superstitious about politics. Man, boy, you think your favorite politician gonna save the world? That's a superstition. That's the same type of superstition of religion. So it's not religion necessarily that creates the problem. Y'all know I am not an advocate for religion, but what I am an advocate for is like consistent, comprehensive, exhaustive thought, not just attaching yourself to something that's easy. Religion can die overnight, and people are still going to be the people that they are. So there is no like simple fix to what we're dealing with. Let's not be narcissistic phobic. Watching from the Philippines, welcome in, welcome in. Man, I don't know why, but I'm thinking of someone trying to save a fish from drowning. No, that tracks, because that's like what it feels like a lot of times. So listen, like I think when we did the Greater Gospel series on Sunday sessions, I talked about this, because uh, Christians will often ask me, well, Darante, if you don't think sin is the problem for humanity, if you don't think sin is the root cause for all of our issues, what do you think it is? And I'm like, oh, it's complexity. We live in a very complex situation, complex ecosystems that we're still learning how to navigate. And so for me, if there is a root cause, it's complexity, and complexity itself doesn't owe us a root cause. Harm doesn't require a single origin story. Like, I feel like that's the stuff we're borrowing from that religious baggage. There's not always a single origin story. It's multiple things that goes into what shapes us and why we do things. I used to always say, like, uh, two people can be electrocuted. It don't mean they're gonna have the same shock. That was good. That was so good. Jalapeno. Two people can both experience the phenomenon of electrocution and not experience it the same way. That's the reality of complexity. And so reality is not neat enough for grand ideological complexion, a compression. To me, that's us trying to remake a religious doctrine. We're trying to do the same things that many of us just escaped from. I'm not looking for one thing I need to be telling everybody else to do. Like, I fully embraced that I'm the blind man touching the elephant, and the only way I could really get a better view of what the hell I'm feeling on is to actually be in tune with the other blind people who are also feeling this big motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? But the moment I believe that I have a God's eye view on life and on humanity for everybody else, to me, that's not very far from religious delusion. But that's just me. Again, my pet peeve. My pet peeve. you know. So yes, I like that. I think our complex consciousness in and of itself is a part of the problem with humanity. We think, therefore, we assess meaning in everything and then argue over the meaning. Yes. Like, I had to check somebody in my comments um last night, because I put a post up just about saying that, I think the disconnect in conversation sometimes with non-believers and Christians is that many Christians are not looking for logic in their faith. They're looking for meaning in their life. And until the conversation crosses that threshold, there's always going to be a disconnect. And the amount of people who just got so upset, and I'm like, why are you looking for an argument? you know, but like, and I'm gonna talk about that a little bit too. All right, so we talk when we do this, it's a little bit of arrogance, it's a little bit of exclusivity, it's a lot of oversimplification. But then this is another one. This is another one. It's resilience. There's a resilience to correction. And this is one that I find absolutely fascinating. The resilience to correction. Because even when I identify flaws in the premise, and okay, so I read the one at the beginning where I told the guy, I'm like, hey, your premise is faulty to begin with. All right, now listen, if your premise is faulty to begin with, you must go back to the drawing board. Okay. Like, the moment, if someone can tell, if you give somebody a 50-page essay and the person can find the flaw in the premise, there's no need of moving on to page 2. Like it's already fallacious. But I'm going to give you an example. So I've already, and if y'all didn't see it, rewind it. But I've read what my reply was to one person, and this is what they responded. They said, Darante, you actually make excellent points, and I think you've sharpened my argument better than I did. You're right that comparing religion and science as competing systems is a category error. I'll concede that. And your point about complexity being the engine of harm rather than any single root cause is philosophically sound. But here's where I think we're actually agreeing more than disagreeing. My real point was never about religion versus science. At this moment, you're pivoting. You're saying, no, I'm conceding. No, if you're conceding, then you go back to the drawing board. We don't continue this conversation. He said it was about the pattern underneath both. Now you just went right back into the category era. And so um, this is what I mean by resilience to correction. Even when I identify the flaws in the premise, most people simply migrate the claim and keep going. They concede a point, then preserve the ideology. But if the premise that your ideology was based on is flawed, that actually means your ideology is flawed as well. Happy Friday. you know and so at that moment, like this moment, you're not actually, this is not serious inquiry, this is not serious research, this is belief preservation, this is emotional attachment to theory, it's intellectual sunk cost. Well, I've devoted so much time to this idea that this idea has to be a good idea, and it's identity protective cognition. All right, so at that moment, you're no longer trying to refine a theory, you're protecting a self-image. And I know what that feels like. Like I used to tell people, like, that's one of the reasons why I love being who I am today as opposed to who I was when I was a pastor. Because when I was a pastor, like everything was attached to my ego. Like if you didn't show up to my church, something was wrong with me. That it was attached to my ego. If you didn't like my preaching, something was wrong with me. Now I'm like, no, if you don't like what I'm saying, I'm not talking to you. Like it's like that simple. Like it always amazes me when people feel like they got to go out of their way to disagree. Bro, are you shocked that somebody said something that you disagree with? That's not an exercise in intelligence. If every time somebody says something you don't disagree, that you don't agree with, you're shocked, I don't feel like you that bright. Like in me, I'm like, okay, that choo-choo train don't make it all the way to the station. Because at this moment, after living through elementary school, middle school, high school, college, you start realizing that no, there are a bunch of people with a bunch of different ideas. Like even when I was back in my church days, and somebody be like, the Lord said somebody in here has $5,000 to sow. I'd be like, it ain't talking to me. Like, and so sometimes you got to be able to recognize when people ain't talking to you. Is that good? Okay, I think that's good. So people are not really refining a theory; they're protecting a self narrative, and that's so good. Emotional based narratives. All right. So that's resilience to correction, and I'm flying through these because y'all know I'm a little under the weather, but I did want to kind of platform this conversation. Another one is that they're often exceptionalist. All right. The majority of these like fixes to humanity that I get rely on assumptions about humanity that only exist in the extremes of human exceptionalism, not reality itself. And so it's either human exceptionalism to the positive or human exceptionalism to the negative. Human exceptionalism to the negative is like, well, humans always do bad stuff like this and blah, blah, blah. And oh, yeah, there we go. Humans need to be more like animals. That was the one guy. He's like, we need to just be more like animals. And he was like, you see how the lions, they only, and this is what he said. This is what a guy said to me. He said, we need to be more like the animals in nature because you see the lions, they only kill when they need to eat. They're not like humans who kill for no reason. I'm like, you mean the lions who kill their cubs? You mean those? The ones who kill cubs who might grow up to be contenders? You talking about we need to be like them? Like at that moment, you're operating in a realm of exceptionalism that does not reflect reality. You're operating in a realm of poetry. It's beautiful. I love nature. I love the animals. I don't want to go back there. All right, and that's just me. If I had a homie one time, and he'd always talk. He'd always talk like, bro, like what we need to do, what we need to do, what we need to do. Like one time he was telling me, he said, why are we why are we exploring space when we ain't even explored all of the ocean. And I had to say, bruh, who the fuck is we? Cause we ain't doing either. You and I ain't exploring, like we ain't exploring the ocean or the space. Why you putting yourself in somebody else's exploration stuff and you taking credit? You're not doing either, you know? But like we slip over into those places as if we've said something deep. And I'm like, no, you're way too detached from this to even have a fucking opinion. So like grow up a little bit, okay? Okay. But see, like, but it was also like, we need to go back to simple life. And I'm cool with that. Like, as a matter of fact, one time I was a really strong advocate for that until I realized nobody was real serious about it. So like my homie, he'd be like, what we need to do, we just need to leave technology alone and we just need to go back to living off the land, bruh. We just need to grow our food. I'm like, yeah, I'm right there with you while he on his iPhone. You know what I'm saying? And so at one point I asked him, I said, okay, if you really believe that, what's stopping you from doing it? Oh, stopped him dead in his tracks. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. If you really believe, because people do this, there are people who still live off the land. I know some of them. There are people who still live that way. So there is absolutely nothing stopping you from doing it. So why are you not doing it? If you honestly believe that this is what we all need to be doing, why aren't you leading the charge? Why aren't you being the example? Why aren't you showing us how to get out there and do it? Is it really that you think we should? Do you really think this should be the best thing for us to do? Or you just want somebody to agree with you about something while still not doing anything about it? Hmm. And see, ultimately, that be my issue with a lot of conspiracy theorist type of people. It's like you have a conspiracy theory about something that you have no plans of doing anything about. That's like childish to me. Like that's super childish. You know? Yeah, like I'm not going back. No, I won't go back. I can't go back to the way. No, I'm not doing that. I'm not. I like toilet tissue. I enjoy it. The softer, the better. I like central air and heat. I like the internet. Like, I don't even want to go back to the internet when the internet was making them weird sounds like bing dum bing dum bing dum. You remember that? No, I'm not going back there. And so, like, a lot of time what I realize people have is ideological fetishism. Now, if it's your idea and you're living that idea, fine, I'm all there for you. When I was a Pan-Africanist, when I was in Black nationalism, I was that person because I was like, listen, Black folk, hey, you're gonna have to build an economy for yourself. You're gonna have to start over. Like this was me back then. Honestly. And I was like, we're gonna have to get some land. We're gonna have to learn this stuff all over again because everybody, I want to say everybody, obviously that's, but I'm talking. So everybody in the communities that I was a part of was like, yeah, whitey is bad and they using us and capitalism is killing us. And I'm like, the other side of capitalism is consumerism, right? You can always just choose to stop buying. But then how am I gonna have nice things? Aha. You see the problem, you put yourself in there. But it's like, nah, whitey's doing this. We need our own stuff. And when you go, and I'm right there with you, bruh. Let's go. And then I'm like, okay, so we're gonna have to buy the land. Now, y'all know when we have to buy the land, like growing food is not easy. And so we're gonna need people to do it. And then we're gonna have to build houses, and that's not easy. So we're gonna need people to do that. Uh, and we can do it all from the land because humans have done that before. Like that's how we got here. We can do it, but that shit is not going to be easy. I think some people learned the wrong lesson from the John Henry story. You know, but so again, I'm not the person to ever say, or at least I try not to be the person to ever say, this is a bad idea, this is a good idea. What I'm more interested in is has this idea been validated? Has it been tested? Have you tried it? And so like for my people who are like, yeah, we need to go back and live off the land. All right, go try it. Go show the rest of us what it should look like. You know, sell us on it, man. Go show us what it look. And the thing is, I'm not even saying that facetiously. I'm not saying that tongue in cheek. I'm saying that because there are people who are sincere, who are genuine, who felt that way and did it. I'm saying if you're one of those people coming up with all of these things that humans should be doing, and you're not even trying to test that idea, you're not really different from the believers that we often critique. I hope that makes sense. I hope that makes sense, y'all. All right. So another one is that not only is it typically exceptionalist, is that it's often anecdotal, you know. So it includes a lot of phrases like, oh, we all know, or humans have always. And it's just like, Oh no. The plural of anecdote is not evidence. Okay. So just because you add more anecdotes to it does not make it more compelling for me. Um yes, thank you, Dark Light. See, Dark Light is one of those people like when he said he was gonna live off the grid, he did it. He meant it. And that's why I call out the disingenuousness of others because I'm like, no, nothing's stopping you. Ain't nothing stopping you. Going out there. Going out there and show us. And again, that's not tongue in cheek. People are doing it, and some people are doing it extremely well. I'm not one of them. I'm gonna tell you why I'm not one of them. Okay, I'm gonna tell you why. Uh, in what was it? It had to be like 10th grade, 10th or 11th grade. I was living in Ozark, and one of my friends had a family that lived in Tampa, Florida. Which my friend's family was weird because like his parents like divorced and then married their best friends. And so they all friends and stuff. So it was very weird. But I went down to Tampa with him for spring break one time. Damn, I lost my glasses that year too. I remember that because we were driving down I-10 and I looked over and somebody's weave was caught out the window and it was like stuck in the window. And so I had to stick my head out the window to laugh at them. And when I did, whoosh, my glasses was lost on I-10. And so I just had to sit back in the car like the dumbass that I was at that moment. But anyway, so we're there. We get down there, and my friend's dad decide like, hey, we're gonna do yard work throughout the summer. And I'm like, cool, we're gonna do yard work. Um, Everything I touched, I broke. Okay, everything. They gave me the hedge trimmers, and I started hedging stuff, and whoop, broke them motherfuckers in two. And they said, "All right, Darante, let's just give you a let's see if we can get you with the weed whacker." So I got the weed whacker. I'm over there. It just went off. I done weed whacked right over the cord. Done broke the cord. All right, bro. We just gonna give you a shovel, okay? You get this shovel and you go do the digging stuff, all right? And I go get the shovel and I do the digging stuff and I step on the shovel to make it go down in dirt. Broke the damn shovel in half. Bro, go back in the house and get back on the computer, okay? Just go back in the house. So, like anybody, if you want to live off grid, you don't want me to be there with you. I'm gonna be a liability, not an asset. Not an asset. No. Okay. So those cents makes dollars, right? And so anecdotal. Another one for me is relevance. Um, a lot of times, especially the people that spam it, like I don't know why people think spamming works. Spamming only works in video games. That's the only place spamming works. Okay. It only works in video games. Now, if you get that one move where you can get somebody in the corner and hold their ass there, spam the hell out of them as long as you can. Okay. They're going to be mad at you. They're not going to want to play your video games no more, but spam the hell out of them. But that's the only place that works. I know it, right? Good thing I lost my glasses and not my head. Bruh, what you say? But like spamming is almost always like inconsiderate of the people that you're trying to reach. That doesn't work. So like when it's a question of relevance, my first question is like, why here? Why are you putting this information here? And then number two, why me? Like if you hear what I'm talking about, why did you think this is something I'd be interested in? And like this is one of the reasons I stopped taking a lot of invitations because I realized a lot of people were only inviting me to places because I was an atheist and I was black. And I'm like, oh no, like I'm a whole human being. Like as much content as I make, and you invite me on your show, and the only thing you want to talk about is me being black. Like no, like I'm not gonna let you. There are black people who do that. I'm not one of them. Nah, bro. Don't do that to me. So that tells me you're not looking for cues for relevance, which is going to inhibit your ability to be effective. You know. Um, Oh my goodness. So and again, this is not me trying to tell people, hey, just hide your big ideas. Number one is me tell no, test them before you share them. How about that? But then also find the people and conversations that your ideas would be relevant to. Because 9 times out of 10, if there's something that's really important to you that you're committing this amount of time to, there's likely somebody else that it matters to as well. There's likely somebody else who's also curious about solving whatever problem you've tried to solve. And it's going to be in your best interest. It would behoove you. I beseech you, therefore, brethren, it would behoove you to actually find those people that you can test those ideas against. Now, this is the next one is probably the biggest one. And this is the one that concerns me the most. This is the one that probably makes it the biggest pet peeve for me, is that anytime you as one person think you know what's best for everybody else, you've slipped over into an authoritarian ideology. I want y'all to sit with that. Sit with it. Sit with it. I'm on my Dave Chappelle shit right now. You know what I mean? No, sit with it. Anytime you get to a place where you think you have an ideology that everybody else should just hear and love and respond to, I don't know how you don't see yourself as a dictator. I mean, no. At that moment, you've slipped over into authoritarian ideology. These ideas are often attached to ego and become resistant to correction, which starts looking less like inquiry and more like soft authoritarianism. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like as a matter of fact, one time uh we were going through something with some family members, and I said, you know what, I think I know how I want to define toxic now. Toxic is anytime I want something more for somebody than they want it for themselves. Once I do that, I put myself at risk at being toxic to that person. Oh, I need y'all to hear that. If I have somebody in my life and I really want something for them, but they don't necessarily want that for them, I run the risk of bringing toxicity into their lives, and vice versa. Anytime somebody is in my life, like when I started losing weight, my mother got really toxic. Really toxic. I just wish you just stop losing so much weight. Why you losing so much weight? You want something for me that I don't want for myself, and you're letting your wants for my life override my wants for my life. That's toxicity. That's also authoritarianism. That my authority over you, that I should have authority over what you want. And the moment we start coming up with ideas that we think all other humans should follow, that's what we've slipped over into. And I'm like, that's that religious baggage. Yeah. No, tink tink. That's that religious baggage. Let that shit go. The more somebody presents their framework as morally urgent, universally explanatory, and resistant to revision, the more it starts sounding less like help and more like control. Okay? Okay. Are you trying to help the world, or are you trying to control it? Are you trying to mold the world into an image that you're okay with, that makes you feel comfortable in the world? You know, I think sometimes, and I think a part of this is why politics is in such a disarray in this country, is because our whole idea of politics is control, you know? Mm. Oh my goodness. So it's that idea of, like, because I'm even careful about that, especially as we're building community. Like I've gone gone as far as anytime I thought my community or the community that I founded has started to build too much around my personality. Like I've started cutting stuff off. Like nah, like no, because I don't have your ideas. Like I don't have your solution. I don't. And I think putting that dependency on people is the problem. Like some people think if you get rid of all the cult leaders, then you'll get rid of all the cults. No, if you get rid of all the cult leaders, all the people who need cult leaders are just going to create new cult leaders. It's a dependency problem. Okay. All right. So, and I want us all to think about it, because we all have these grand ideas about what's wrong with the world, right? We all have these grand ideas about how it can be fixed. But the moment you're having these grand ideas and you're not cross-referencing them with other people, you're excluding the majority of society and making yourself the person with the God's eye view. And that's not a position of consideration, it's a position of control. Hmm. Does that make sense, y'all? It's soft authoritarianism. And that's something that I resist. Like I resist it. I ain't telling you what to do. I ain't got nothing to do with that. This is one of the reasons we shut down our Discord. which I'm gonna talk about it. Oh, I got this is in my notes for Sunday. One of the reasons we shut down our Discord when we had it, because I'm like, y'all are just authoritative. Like you're very like you want to dictate what other people do, and you don't even know these people. I think one of the reasons why Bridge City is one of, if not the most diverse community in the secular space, is because that's not something we really do. We're not policing other people. There are people in my community who love AI, and there's people in my community who hate AI. There are people in my community who love playing around with fringe beliefs, and there are people in my communities who don't want to go anywhere near a fringe. Exactly. Discord equals Discord. You got to get on one accord, you know. But the thing is, like, if somebody in our community comes in and says, "Ooh," they come in and say, "Ooh, I like astrology or whatnot," ain't nobody gonna be like, "Oh, you shouldn't like that." You know what I'm saying? Because like, what are you doing that for? Like, are you 5? And like, that's really where I be going with people. Now, that's just me. That's just me. Because I'd be like, please grow up and get out of other people's business. What we say in the hood, mind the business that pays you. All right. That might be why you so damn broke, because you mind in business that does not pay you. How about mind business that actually pays you? How about that? But no, like I don't like, and it's just me. Maybe my pet peeves. But like, nobody else owes you their lived experience. And so when I hear somebody say something that I disagree with, I hear somebody doing something that I disagree with, it don't matter to me. I've never been one of those pineapples versus pepperoni people. It don't matter to me. I can't believe you eat pineapples on your pizza. Why can't you believe that? Like what's wrong with your choo-choo train where you have a hard time believing that somebody likes something differently than you? What literally, what world did you live in where it's shocking to you to now realize that someone has a different lived experience than you? And I see this a lot where we get to that place where we're now okay, so I get it. You got a revelation that something is bad. You got this idea that something is negative, and so you choose to disengage. But then the moment you start going to random strangers and like, well, you shouldn't do this, you're no different than a Jehovah's Witness to me. And I'm like, oh no, get the fuck out of here. I grew up treating Jehovah's Witnesses the same way we treated bad weather. You cut off the phone, you close the windows, and don't you go nowhere near that damn door. Right? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, like yes. Like people have their likes, and then you're like, oh, wait, that's just bullshit. Well, your face is bullshit. How about that? Y'all don't want to, because I'll go there. Like that's what, like, I don't define myself by what I'm against. I define myself by what I'm for. And what I'm for is forward thinking, people centric, and life affirming. And people have different experiences. We're all on different journeys. People grow at different spaces, you know? I've heard people say stuff like, I just wish all Christians would be dead. I'm like, ooh, well, thankfully I deconverted at the right time, because if you had the power to kill all Christians 11 years ago, I'd be in that number, and then I wouldn't have gotten to grow to this moment. And so it's like, no. And now like people literally get mad at me because I won't co-sign their hatred and ignorance. I'm not joining you in bullshit. My goal is to create places that makes it easier for people to deconvert. Mm-hmm. All right. Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to get on my high horse. Let's go. And this next one is validation seeking. And this is the authoritative one is the one that bothers me the most. The validation seeking one is the one that like pulls at my heartstrings the most. It's the one why I don't engage as much, because if I engage it, I have to engage in good faith, and in good faith, I'm not going to tell you have a good idea when it's not a good idea. And so I don't want to engage it because I don't like breaking people's hearts. Now, I'll be honest with you, like I'm not a nice person. Like I like, when you thought like the 10 things that I want to be in life, nice is not on there. You know, if people think I'm nice, that's nice, but that's like not my goal. It's not necessarily a goal. I'm not saying I'm out here trying to be a jackass. I'm just saying like nice is not necessarily a priority for me. But I don't like breaking people's hearts. I don't like people being hurt. And a lot of times that's what I see with a lot of these ideas is what you're wanting when you send me the idea is you wanting me to validate the idea. and you're wanting to vicariously be validated through the idea. Does that make sense? Because then if I say that's a good idea, then it's also saying you had a good idea, you did a good job, you were right. And I think all of us deserve to be validated, but we should not be seeking our validation through our ideas. Our validation should come through our humanity. Okay. You know, um, you don't validate ideas through words of affirmation. You validate ideas through trials and experimentation. That's how you validate ideas. And it's okay to have an idea that ends up being invalidated. That doesn't invalidate you as a human, right? And so that's why sometimes I do like as like well, number one, I am busy, so it's not like I want to engage these things, but I know like if I do engage it, if I see the flaw, I'm going to call out the flaw. And most cases, the people are going to try to continue to go beyond the flaw. And I don't know if you've seen me when I'm on like when I've been on call-in shows, I don't let that slide. No, 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 no. We've established the premise is false. Why are you still going? Like, no, bring that ass back. Bring it back, please. Nah, because you don't have anything to stand on. But in a world where I know that so many people have like there are real mental health issues out there. There are people who are dealing with severe turmoil, severe trauma, severe isolation, and they're seeking for somebody to say, "Hey, I'm doing a good job," or "I'm a good person," or "I did something right." And I do try to be cautious not to be the person to take that away from them. But this is also one of the reasons I am so adamant about building community, and that's one of the things that people are finding in Bridge City is they're not, Bridge City is not the place you come to throw your ideas at people. And thankfully, we no longer have that problem. Oh my goodness, thankfully. It's the place you come to do life with other people. And if your ideas just so happen to come up and find space, wonderful. But we don't define you by your ideology, by your philosophy. We have people who have all different types of worldviews in Bridge City, and that's not what we define people by. We define them by their humanity. You have a high horse. Luckily, I don't even have one to get on. That is awesome. Now, I'd want to see what a horse is like when he's high. Like, I'm sorry, that's my Nero Spicy. I want to see a cartoon about a high horse. Was that what BoJack Horseman was about? Was BoJack high? Did BoJack smoke weed? I don't know. I didn't watch that show. Okay. Okay. And of course, another concern I have is that a lot of these frameworks still carry the bathwater of conversion. And so it's almost like when people send me their ideas, they're wanting to convert me to their ideology. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm not really looking for anything to convert to. That's just not even a need I have anymore. And what I mean is that even when the framework is secular, philosophical, or anti-religious, it still preserves the same structure of there being one real problem, one hidden root, one true diagnosis, one cure, one path forward. And I'm like, that is an oversimplification of our humanity. And I don't think that we can honestly afford to stay there. That structure is dangerous because it makes people more protective of their bias than they are curious about their reality. The moment you think you know the one problem, you stop looking at the other problems. The moment you think you have the one solution, you stop being considerate of other solutions. I want you to think about that. You think about that. It was like me, even when I was a pastor and people were like, when we'd have, because I pastored in, I don't know if you could say Dothan has an inner city, but I technically pastored in the inner city. But if there's gun violence, the church world, well, the solution is we need to get God back in schools, or the solution is we need to pray. And I'm like, number one, I don't think that does anything. But why are we convinced? Like, how did we get convinced that a solution is one thing? Like, how do we convince that there is a one solution? You have a problem as expansive as gun violence, and you get convinced that there's one thing that we can do that will solve gun violence. And whether that one thing is prayer, that one thing is prohibition, that one thing is cracking down on such and such, stronger penalties. The moment we think there is one solution, we're no longer trying to apply as many solutions as possible. You know? And so, like, to me, I'm like, I don't even know how we get there. And so at that moment, you're not engaging complexity with humility, you're guarding a framework. Every once somebody believes they found the deeper thing underneath everything, they stop engaging complexity with humility. You know? Community outreach without proselytizing. You know? Every disagreement becomes resistance. Every counterexample becomes an exception. Every challenge becomes proof that other people just do not get it yet, as if you have arrived somewhere that other people, you just waiting for other people to arrive at your holy high mountain. You know, like, what the fuck? Like, no. I think some people need to be reminded that you're just not that smart, bruh. You not that smart. And honestly, I'm gonna be honest with you. People don't like when I say it, but I didn't come up with it. I heard it on a channel. I think it's a channel called Alux. And they said the only sign of intelligence is a transformed life. And I think that was probably 4 or 5 years ago when I heard that quote. And I was like, bruh, if you really think you smart, you need to start acting like it. And I was like, no, that hit me. Like, no, Darante, you so damn smart, but you can't change your life. Yeah, but the world is like this and the world is like this. Exactly. Pay attention to that shit, navigate it. It's chess, baby, not checkers. Unless it's Chinese checkers, which is fun. Okay. Anyway. All right. So if every challenge just becomes proof that other people don't get it, that's not serious inquiry. That's conversion logic. It's like, again, it's not about actually helping. It's just about control. I want you to be me. You know, I call it colonizing. You're trying to colonize other people. Like, can you sit in the fact that you live in the world with people who see it differently than you? Because if you can't, you're probably a colonizer. You know, colonizing has gotten such a bad rap, hasn't it? But no, like, you're probably a colonizer. Like, if anytime you hear somebody have a different ideology than you, and your first response is to try to change their ideology to fit yours, how are you any different than a Mormon, bro? You know, like, I don't get it. Like, you're out here trying to baptize people in your new ideology. And see, this is something I've been very careful about. Like, what I do is I share my ideology. I don't hold anybody else responsible for adopting my ideology. Nobody at Bridge City has to believe what I believe. As a matter of fact, nobody know what I believe. Oh, y'all ain't ready for this, because that's not the conversations. Bruh. Okay, we're going there. Okay. So the moment, like, when we're operating there, you've not escaped dogma just because you've changed the language. If your framework still needs a single fall, a single answer, and a single path to redemption, then you're still reproducing the same mental habits you think you left behind in religion. You're not trying to help people, you're trying to convert them. And, like, this is something that I've been talking about for a while. Like, I think when we first started doing the Sunday sessions, I did a series called Mind Change. You know, I think it was something like that, change your mind, something like that. But in it, I shared something. I said, most people change their minds on the spectrum of safety. Okay. So what that means is that people need trust before truth. Okay. If I'm a part of a religion, and in my mind that I feel safe in that religion, there's very little you're going to be able to do to get me out of it. Because at that moment, the only way I'm going to be able to perceive you is as someone who is trying to take me away from safety. Okay. So like most times, and I mean, you can watch the deconversion stories and see most times when people actually deconvert their religion, it's because they get to a place where the safety spectrum has changed. That this thing that used to make me feel safe, this thing that used to make me feel comfortable, I'm now beginning to wrestle with that I don't think it's actually making me as safe as I was before. And at that moment, those people are more open to conversation. And so the thing that I try to challenge people is I'm like, no, if you're trying to deconvert people, you're not really very different than a Christian, right? You're not very different than a religious, nut job. I hate to say it. Like, no, because at that moment, you're not doing it because you're concerned about them. You're doing it just because you want more people to be like you. Ah, let's go there. You're not doing it because, and this is what I'm trying to help people with. You're not looking at their lives and saying, "Hey, I see that you're believing something that is actually damaging you, and I see how it is tearing your life apart. And I want to be here for you to help you kind of unpack this, and we'll walk through this together, regardless of where you end." That's not what you're doing. You're going to be, well, you're stupid for believing this. Yeah, that's going to work. That's going to work so well. You know how many people who message me and are like, Darante, please tell me what I need to say to my Christian friends because I keep trying to tell them how stupid they are and it still don't work. I'm like, man, you a genius, ain't you? You real smart. Like you think that's oh my goodness. Yes, I love that. I love that. Oh, thank you, Shell. Support Bridge City by becoming a donor today. Even you can build bridges, you know? And so like and that phenomenon has actually led me to something that I've started calling logic thumpers. Y'all remember what Bible thumpers are? Who remember what Bible thumpers were? You know what a Bible thumper is? A Bible thumper is a person who's going to beat you over the head with the Bible to try to get you to become a Christian, you know, and without any really concern for your life. You know, you're so dumb, right? Yes. They're gonna beat you over the head with the Bible without any, they're not coming at you concerned about your life. They're coming at you concerned that you don't believe what they believe. And they're going to beat you over the head about it until they can try to get you to submit. And it is rarely ever effective. Okay. Bible thumpers were the least effective evangelist. Okay. They were the least of, very few people were getting saved because of Bible thumpers. All right. But like that is something I've been seeing a lot since I've come out publicly as an atheist, is I see a lot of people who are what I like to call logic thumpers. Like you really just trying to beat people over the head with logic. And it's like, I get it. Logic is a better tool, but that's not how you use that tool. You don't use logic as a tool. And this is the same flaw that I see with these people that I see with the Bible thumpers. The people who are like beating people over the head with the Bible aren't using the Bible to better their lives, which is another reason why it's not effective. And the people who are beating or are trying to beat people over the head with logic, you're not using logic to improve your life. Ooh. Like, why the fuck would I want to be like you and you're angry and you're always talking about how destitute you are and you're always coming from your victimhood and your trauma? Why the fuck would I want to join that party? No. I ain't coming over there with you. Stay mad by yourself. Way over there. Way over there. But no. That's what I call logic thumpers. If logic is to mean anything, it needs to mean something to you first. Okay? If it is to mean anything, it needs to mean something to you first. If the only thing your logic can do is talk about how bad religion is, then you do not have logic, you have bias. damn, I'm preaching better than y'all responding. If all your logic can do is harass Christians, then you do not have logic, you have discrimination. Oh, no, I'm talking. I'm coming for you. No. Logic thumpers. Oh, man. Like, my argument, and I could be wrong. My argument is that when we start living when my logic works for me, that's when other people look at me and say, "Now, Darante, now," and watch this. Damn it, it ain't even anecdote. I can't show y'all the evidence because y'all don't live in my memories. So I guess it is anecdote for y'all. But no, I have friends who look at me. I have people who knew me before and who now come in my DMs and like, Darante, how are you doing this? Dude, I was 580 pounds. I was beyond broke. I'm still broke. I'm just not beyond broke anymore. Beyond broke, living in an absolute poverty, you know? Like that was my life. And then I didn't just use my logic to deconvert. I didn't just use my newfound relationship with reason to just leave religion. I used my newfound relationship with reason to reconstruct my life. Okay? And honestly, this is something that became just being absolute honest, man. Thank you so much for that super chat, Shell. Hell yeah, you preaching. Thank you. I'll do the best that I can, you know. But this is something that actually started to bother me. And I know I've mentioned it before, but after going to a few events and conferences, like I just started to say, like, I don't think I want to go to these for real. Because I'm like, everybody here is, no, lovely, fun, but everybody here is angry. Everybody here is sickly. Everybody here is struggling in profound ways. And yet nothing we're doing is aimed at undoing that. Everything, and this isn't everybody, it's just what I saw. I'm like, no, there are people here like, why are we doing events that people having to pay money to come to? And these events aren't helping these people be better in their lives in any way. Like that's not a great flag for secularism. If everybody who's secular is struggling, who the fuck don't want to join that party? And I mean that. And this is not me talking about some Protestant work ethic thing. I'm talking about, no, how the fuck do we see each other struggling and don't want to do anything about it? Like, no, I can't keep seeing you like this over and over again. Like at some point, there's a priority problem. You're more mad at Christians than you are the people in your life who are really doing you wrong. I need you to stop. I need you to stop fussing at the stranger and start dealing with the stuff in your life. Because honestly, and I'm being a little selfish here, but I'm gonna be selfish with it. Like we need you in the game. We need you on the battlefield. We need you helping. We need your representation. But we're never gonna be able to get that if you're so distracted by bullshit that you're not doing what it takes to build your life. And I think that's one of those places that I think we're failing at right now. But that's why I'm doing something different, because that's what I think. And other people say, well, I don't think we're failing. Well, no, duh. That's why you're not doing anything different, dumbass. And I'm calling you dumbass to be facetious and funny because I like to be facetiously funny. You know what I mean? On my Dave Chappelle shit. Okay. So it's this idea of like, no, it needs to be working for us, my logic, my logic, my relationship with reality shouldn't be something that I'm just like. Are you all familiar with the allegory of the cave? Like trying to pull somebody out of their ignorance without them understanding the safety paradigms. That's not you trying to help them. That's you trying to get company. And the reason I'm stressing this so much is because if you switch and say, you know what? No, I'm not trying to convert them. I'm not trying to make them like me. I want their life to be better. It changes the conversation altogether. And eventually you'll find a better way to actually end up helping those people come out. Instead of you trying to deconvert somebody, you adopt the mentality. No, I want to be a safe place for them when they're ready. Okay. If they ever make the decision that, oh, I think I don't, I think I might question my beliefs. Because listen, maybe you got a family member that you've been bopping over the head with your logic for a while. If they do come to a place where where they begin to doubt their religion, they're not coming to your ass, because you've already showed them that you're a jackass. Hello. They're not coming to you. But if you say, you know what, I got a family member or a friend that I really care about, and they have this belief system, and I want them to stop believing it. My first question to you would be, why do you want them to stop believing it? You know, because that's where you have to find the motivation at. If you want them to stop believing it just because you know it's foolishness, then your motivation has nothing to do with them. And I'm like, and that's why it's not being, and that's why you're not being effective, you know? But, and so the next question has to become, how is this harming them? Are they using the belief harmfully? Are they harming others with the belief? And once you get into those more places, what, like, hey, I noticed you've been giving a lot of your money to that church. Like that, you don't even see, you don't start with the belief system. You start with the behavior that's reproducing harm in their lives. You start with the things that's not helping them. That allows you to get there. Hey, I noticed you've been down with. Actually, one of the people on our one of the people in our community, Robert, he shared a story, and this is a perfect example. He was going to this church, had got really highly involved, and was just going all in and stuff. And his friend came to him and said, "Hey, you don't really seem like yourself anymore." See, that's real concern. They didn't come to him like, "Hey, man, you in that church bullshit, and I don't like that." They said, "Hey, you don't seem like yourself anymore. I don't see you like the pushing your business the way that you were. Like, what's going on?" And then eventually that led him to realizing, oh shit, I think I might have gotten involved with a cult. And around the time he saw my video on why Christianity is a cult, you know, helpful. So now look, nobody had to go take that video and bop him over the head with it. He found it because somebody was concerned about him and shared that concern. And so I'm saying, if you're seriously wanting to help people, that's the focus you take. All right. And so I'm gonna get ready to shut it down here. What does serious inquiry look like? So when you're saying like, no, I think I really have an idea that I think is the next big idea, to keep it from becoming ideological fetishism, to actually make sure that like, no, this is serious inquiry. We're going to start with operational definitions. You want to get category clarity. Like if you send me some religion versus science stuff, I'm always going to reject it because it's a category error. Religion and science, no, they're not. And remember, I said this before. Like this is one of the. I did a whole video on why I don't debate Christians because I think it's disingenuous. Christianity should not get platformed in debates, in serious debates. It shouldn't, because we wouldn't platform Zoroastrianism. We wouldn't platform Greek mythology. We wouldn't platform Jediism. And so, like, no, we're doing harm to ourselves by doing that. But no, what serious inquiry actually looks like is real world testing and collaborative refinement. If you come to me and you say you have an idea for all humanity, I want to know how many humans did you work with to come up with that idea. And if you didn't work with any other humans to come up with that idea, I'd caution you. I'd caution you, which I really don't even have to caution you, because the one thing I know, because you didn't work with any other humans to come up with that idea, it's just what I know from industrial organizational psychology. Nobody's gonna fuck you. Nobody's gonna fucking help you with your idea. You know? Mm, I know that's right. You know? So if you think you have an idea that could help people, don't spam strangers, you know? Oh man, look at their member for 5 months. Thank you for sharing your time with us today. Man, listen, I don't normally do Fridays, but I felt like this was a valuable conversation. Um, and it's again, it's not to berate people who have these big ideas. I am a big idea person. Like I am an incredible, but I'm a big idea person. I think we should have more big ideas. What I what I what I'm afraid of sometimes is that we can get so attached to our ideas, and that becomes our identity. And then when someone doesn't like my idea, that means someone don't like me. Now, this is something that I used to train teams with all the time. Is like, especially like my teams, if we're coming up with an idea with something, I expect 10 ideas to be on the table so I can say no to 7. You know, bring at least 10. Like, be prepared for somebody to say no to some stuff, you know, and like, because I think that's the only way we really get the good ideas. To me, a good idea is rarely the first one, because you have to hear how that idea sounds as compared against other ideas and as compared against other ideas. And then we got to start falsifying stuff, you know? And then what that does, that actually helps us get to something. And maybe that's really why it's a pet peeve to me. It's a pet peeve for me because I really do want to help humanity. I don't just want to be the person that gets the credit for it. And that's what I feel like when some people send me this stuff, you want the credit for it. You want to be the person that, yeah, I'm the one that said it. But no, that I don't care about who gets the credit. I want to make sure that we're doing something that works. And so the moment I realized that you haven't even tried to test it, you haven't even tried to validate it, that your first form of validating was trying to get my insight, trying to get my opinion on it, it's heartbreaking. Because I'm like, oh, you're not even trying, you know? Wow. Wow. You know what? I'm gonna put that on the screen. That's so good. You teaching today, man. I didn't even know this was a topic I was waiting on my whole life. And I appreciate that, y'all. Because listen, I never know when I get in front of this camera, I never know how people are gonna take anything that I say. 9 times out of 10, I really don't give a damn in a wonderful way. I don't give a damn in a wonderful way, right? But but I do this because I think like if it's helpful, I want to share it. Um, so anybody who have big ideas, I'll tell you to take the advice that I had to take, and it's the advice that I gave myself: build locally, test humbly, refine publicly, work with real people, and measure the outcomes. That's it. I mean, it's for me that's how you get your idea. That's how you validate your idea, not by sending it to your favorite YouTuber. You know, and that's at that moment you're outsourcing your authority, which is something that I'm guilty of doing a lot as well. Trying to get somebody else to say it's good so I don't have to, you know. But at that moment, why don't you just prove it's good? If it's a good idea, prove it's a good idea, and you do that by building it locally. You do that by testing it humbly, refining it publicly, working with real people, and then actually measuring the outcomes. And the good news is, if it doesn't work, it doesn't change anything about you. And I think that's probably one of the reasons we get so attached to these ideas is because we don't want to feel like a failure. And I'm like, listen, failure is an event, not an identity. You know what I'm saying? So no, as a matter of fact, success only comes through failure. Like for real, y'all. Like success only comes through failure. Any success that comes without failure isn't success, it's luck because you didn't learn nothing, you know? And so I hope I'm not I hope I'm not like just dumping on people's ideas because that's not my goal. My goal is if you have an idea and you think it's a good idea, test it, please. And if it survives the test, find other people to work with it on, you know? Oh, I love that. I'd rather be emotionally attached to people than ideas. Thank you for saying that. Space barbarian, thank you for saying that. Because that's what I want to say. Like, even when I find your idea absolutely ridiculous, I still value you. Okay? Your idea could be stupid on a stick, a stupid sickle. Okay? but I'm still not going to look at you as if you're not valuable. And maybe that's the big takeaway from this conversation, is that you can have a dumb idea and still be a valuable person. Because trust me, I've had a lot of dumb ideas. And the thing is, I don't mind having a dumb idea. The only way I'm going to know it's dumb is testing it. I mean, some of them you can spot like they dumb, like from a mile away. But by far and large, you test it first and you find out. And it's no judgment against you. So for everybody out there who has ideas, go test those ideas. Go test them. For all of my friends out there, love the sinner, not the sin. Damn, how did we get there? For all of my people out there who feel like you have the economic fix to the world. Because I have so many people who just think, nah, if we just all did this, we'd be better. Okay, go get 10 friends and start practicing it with. And let's just be absolutely honest. If you can't convince 10 people close to you that it's worth doing, is it worth doing? Like, are you able to articulate it well enough? If you can't convince 10 other people to join in on you with it, you need to go back to the drawing board. Damn, this is good, y'all. Oh, wow. Oh, I love this. See, look, listen, this was needed because I know I have said I have another $1 million idea and it's more like $100. But I need to test for myself. That's it, before I share it with others. There are 10 other people? Oh, man. Yes, y'all are too much. But no, and that's real. That's real. Man, I have so many $1 million ideas. Like so many. And the thing that I had to really, and I started doing this in 2017. The thing that I started having to hold myself accountable to is testing my ideas. And I realized like I was afraid to test my ideas because I was afraid to find out that maybe it's not as solid as I think it is. But now I'm like, no, that's what I want to find out. If the idea is not as solid as I think it is, then I want to either upgrade my idea or move on. And then like in 2024, the next moment was realizing like, and this was me. I'm not saying anybody got to view the world the way that I view the world. This is why when I say stuff and people be like, well, I disagree. And I'm like, what the fuck you telling me for? Why you think I need your disagreement? Man, childish people. But no, like for me, 2024, and we were living in this house by then. 2024, that was right before I started making content. I was sitting in my room. That might have been 2023. I was sitting in my room and I said, Darante, you know what your problem is? And I talked to myself. I don't know if you talk to yourself. Like this is one of the reasons like I'm kind of like cutthroat with other people because I'm cutthroat with myself. But I talked to myself and I said, Darante, you know what your problem is? Even though you've left the bullshit, you're still treating the world the way you think it should be instead of paying attention to the way it is. Whew. And I realized like, damn, yeah, that's actually killing me. That's actually destroying me because I think I have a should for the world and I don't. Like that's that superstition. That's still believing that there's some divine magistrate that has already orchestrated everything. And it's like, I don't know how the world should operate. I don't know what people should do. I just know what people do. I know what is happening. And for me to see it and not update my understanding accordingly is not a flex. But that's a part of getting comfortable with having your illusion shattered. It's a part of getting comfortable with getting to the place of like, no, what I think may not be the right thing. What I think is best may not be best. What I think is beneficial may not be beneficial. And if I honestly lock myself into a place where I think I just know what's best for everybody, then I'm automatically excluding people who disagree. You see how I did that? And the thing is, like, I like to make room for disagreement. Some people can't live in disagreement without conflict. And this is why you'll see me mention it. Like if I think somebody's being in good faith, I'll actually talk to them. If you're in my comments and I'm having a conversation with you, it's because I think you're dealing in good faith. If I don't think you're dealing in good faith, I'm gonna just attach my bot to you, and the bot is just gonna respond, "Poor fella," and I'm gonna laugh. Like, but if I think you're in good faith, I'll actually engage with you. I'll actually go back and forth with you. But the difference is, to me, disagreement doesn't have to be conflict. But I do see that we're breeding this culture where, like, a lot of people, their whole identity is letting people know what they disagree with. And I'm just like, who the fuck are you though? Why does anybody else need to run what they think through you first? Why does anybody else need your agreement? Like, literally, you like I think I think social media and these parasocial relationships are fucking us up. Cause like I've seen people attack people in my comments just because they said something different than they would have said. And I'm like, they not you, bruh. Whew, man. They're not you. So like, no, I'll engage. If you see me talking to you, it's because I think I think you're dealing in good faith. The moment I think you're not, oh, I'm not talking to you. I'm not talking to you. Because I don't live in a world, I don't live in a world where I expect everybody to agree with me. And that's a lot of reasons why I think why the fantasy of solving humanity is a pet peeve for me, because in order for you to do it, everybody has to agree with you. Like anytime someone sends me a thing, and it's almost like what they think is going to happen is that I'm going to go on my channel and say, "Hey, this person has just came up with the fix for humanity. Everybody listen and let's all start doing it." Like, that's superstition to me. That's not how the world works. Maybe we think that's how it should works, but we know for sure that's definitely not how the world works, you know? So maybe another big takeaway is stop trying to determine what everybody else should do and really focus on what you should do. Instead of saying like, "Hey, what can we do to save the world?" Maybe start with you. What can I do to help my neighborhood? What can I do to be better with my family and friends? What can I do to help my city? You know, these are some good starting places. All right, y'all. I think, yeah, I've been going for an hour and a half. That's good enough for the algorithm. I appreciate y'all so much for hanging out with me today. This was, I don't normally do Fridays. Maybe I'll start doing more Fridays. No, I should have did a poll. Do y'all want me to do more live content? Because right now, like I do, Sundays is different, right? Because Sundays is my community day. And so nobody gets to pick what happens on Sundays. That's just point blank, period. Sundays is Bridge City all day, period. I don't care what you want to hear. Fuck you. No, Sundays is for Bridge City, right? But I started doing lives on Wednesdays, and those have been going fairly well. And I do 2 content drops a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I've been thinking a long time for 2 years now about doing daily lives, but I'm like, people ain't gonna want to see me every day. They don't know nobody want to see me. They don't want, those are my issues. But no, I am curious to know, like, how would y'all feel if I did more lives? But the problem is, if I do more lives, see, I see it already. Yes. Okay. 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 Perfect. Perfect. All right. I'm gonna do more lives. And the reason I'll be honest with you, the reason why I struggle with doing more lives is because y'all see how diverse my conversations are. I don't want to get up here and talk about the Bible every time. I don't want to get up here and talk about Christians all the time. Like, I want to talk about life. I want to talk about I want to talk about the world we share and how we can make this world better. I want to talk about your victories, okay? I don't just want to talk about how you're losing. I want to talk about how you're living after you've lost. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's where we want to go. That's where we want to go. And also, be here on Sundays though, cuz Sundays be live. Did y'all check out Stop Hating? Oh my goodness. It was dope. It was dope. I cuss less on Sundays. I cuss less on Sundays, and that's not about the algorithm. That's actually just about, what is that about? Oh, that's actually about, some people. It's Sunday. I don't know. I don't even know what it's about. Oh man, I don't have 5 minutes of foresight. Y'all are too funny. Y'all are too funny. Well, listen, y'all. I love y'all very much. I appreciate y'all for supporting your boy. I didn't hit announcements in the beginning, so just very quickly, if you haven't, continue to vote for your boy in the Entrepreneur of Impact. As of now, I'm still number one, and I'm in the top 15. We got a few more weeks to go. It's still anybody's game, man. We're excited. We're excited that we're still in, especially again. I'm the only openly atheist founder in this competition, which means we're getting to change the narrative and challenge the narrative around what it means to be a non-believer in this world. That people are saying like, oh no, these aren't just people who don't believe and are trying to get other people not to believe, but these are people who don't believe and are trying to make a difference. And I think that makes us different. Also, if you're not a patron, consider becoming a patron, because in May, in the month of May, I think we set it on May 14th. We're doing an Ask Me Anything, and this one is going to be raw and unfiltered. And so when I say ask me anything, it will be ask me anything. It can be about my weight loss journey, it can be about my deconstruction, it could be about the atheist drama, stuff like that, and why there are certain people that I refuse to fuck with. Oh no, we're going there. We're going there. I'm coming in full Richard Pryor, David Chappelle, Eddie Murphy. Like, no, we're going there. So whatever you want to talk about, talk about. Ask me about my family, ask me about content creation, whatever it is, we're doing that. So if you're not a patron, this is a great time to become one. And let me say it this way, you can also join Bridge City. We're getting ready to roll out some different membership tiers on Bridge City, which will also give you access to stuff like this too. We are literally building this social infrastructure that is necessary for post-religious society, and we're pulling out all the nuts and bolts. All right, let me come back over to these comments real quick. I'm gonna ask your glasses prescription. Then please ask when you come. Ask, and I will not know, but I will. If I know that's the question you're gonna ask for real, then I'll make sure to go to the eye doctor and ask them what it is and what it is, because there it is. Thank you, Shell. Thank you, Shell. Yes, because it's presentation, and thank you, Monica. Stop Hating was good, man. It felt good. And it was shorter too. I was just flying through. I was also sick. I think I preach better when I'm sick. I don't know what that is. But anyway, y'all, I love y'all. Thank y'all for hanging out with me today. I'm gonna give y'all a little bit of music. Let's do some jalapeno habanera. Hell yeah. Until next time, y'all keep rising. And for those of you that are part of the bridge, the bridge.
Jalapeno habanero, hell yeah. Jalapeno habanero, hell yeah. Jalapeno habanero, hell yeah. Jalapeno habanero, hell yeah. We can make it over anything when we focus on our liberty. It doesn't matter where we used to be. We're waking up and now we're breaking free. Jalapeno habanero, hell yeah. Jalapeno habanero, hell yeah. Jalapeno habanero, hell yeah. Jalapeno habanero, hell yeah. We can make it over anything when we focus on our liberty. It doesn't matter where we used to be. We're waking up and now we're breaking free. Jalapeno habanero, hell yeah. Jalapeno habanero, hell yeah. Jalapeno habanero, hell yeah. Jalapeno habanero, hell yeah. We are rising into victory, celebrating our humanity. It doesn't matter where we used to be. We're waking up and now we're breaking free. Jalapeno habanero, hell yeah. Hey, hey. Jalapeno habanero, hell yeah. Jalapeno habanero, hell yeah. Jalapeno habanero, hell yeah. Yeah. up and now we're breaking free. Yeah. Check, check, check. Jalapeno habanero, hell yeah. You say. Hey, hey. Jalapeno habanero, hell yeah. You say. Jalapeno habanero, hell yeah. Hey. Jalapeno habanero, hell yeah. Yeah, yeah. Jalapeno habanero, hell yeah. Hey. We can make it over anything when we focus on our liberty. It doesn't matter where we used to be. We're waking up and now we're breaking free.